What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. We are back with another edition of The Buzz Behind the Music. What's happening, y'all? Give y'all a second to get in here. We're going to be speaking with Third Culture Worship. So, Third Culture Worship, we're going to be speaking with them today. I see Randy just hopped on. Randy, what's happening? Irene, what's going on? We're going to bring them on shortly. I'm just going to go through a few updates. Hey, Larry, what's happening, buddy? WBR Indie family, what's happening? Y'all need to check out WBR Indie. You're an independent artist and you're looking to get some radio promotions going and whatnot, and you're, looking for that good servicing, y'all reach out to WBR Indie. Reach out to them. They got y'all covered. All right, I'm going to go through a few quick updates that we have going on. Dallas, what's happening? The Group Fire, what's happening, y'all? Shout out to New Jersey, Group Fire holding it down. You guys are super dope. So yeah, events. So I guess I touched a little bit on the Billboard charts yesterday, but right now we have Doe. So on the national charts, I'm turning it down a little bit. We have Doe on the national charts. When I Pray, second week in a row at #1. Gospel updates, what's up, y'all? Yes, #1. And the Gospel Indicator chart, we got Lucinda Moore there with Lord, I Hear You. But what's really interesting, Lucinda is #1, so congratulations to Lucinda. But the number 3, 4, and 5 are all friends of ours. So Robbie McGee, who's promoting with, being managed by Derek, also Vidity promo client. So Robbie McGee's #3 on the charts. CC Goblet, it's #4. And Anissa Fowler with her single covered from the album Anissa is #5. So it's really interesting just to see them all stacked up there, 3, 4, and 5. So congratulations to all you guys. Events coming up. I know it's all things Dove, it's all things Avidity Award. So that's what's going down. That's going to be in the Tennessee area. So definitely, if you guys are planning on heading out to Memphis for the Dove Awards, you want to check out first. You want to arrive a little bit earlier so you can go to the 7th annual Avidity Award. That's going to be going down. Derek and his team is putting on an amazing award show. So you guys want to check that out. And when you're already there and you stick around a bit longer for the Dove Award, there's some events you want to make sure that you check out. And that's the Urban Soul Cafe pre-Dove party. So that's I teamed up with St. Jude on that one. So that's going to be the Monday, October 17th. And also the Sneaker Ball with Hassan, Root Magazine, teamed up with the Doves and several others there for the Sneaker Ball. So you definitely want to make sure that you check that out, and that's after the Dove Awards. So again, a whole lot is going to be going on there. You want to make sure you check that out. And I also have to shout out Suave Callejon and Rel L Music Group. They're having a major indie tour in Atlanta. So Atlanta, definitely, you want to tap into that if you're in the Atlanta area. But again, we have all this on our page. If you sign up to our mailing list, you'll get all this information as well too. So definitely stay connected. And new music, a lot of new music today. I'm just gonna run through a few of them. Daniel Ojo, our friend there from over in Canada, teamed up with Tim Bowman Jr. and they released an amazing worship single titled I Will Bless Your Name. So you want to make sure you check out that. Brian Courtney Wilson dropped his pre-orders for his new album titled Transitions, and you're going to get his new single when you do that. Pastor J.J. Harrison dropped his new album today, Believe Again. Evie McKinley dropped her debut album, Love Evie McKinley. We also did an interview with Evie that we dropped on our YouTube channels today. So make sure you check that out. And last but not least, because there's tons of great albums out there, is Gia Wire released her album as well, Meant to Be. Again, a lot of amazing things. Y'all go ahead and support them. And I'm gonna go here and let me see that we'll be releasing. Oh, awesome. I'll make sure to stay on top of that. I know I saw you guys came in. I'm just gonna go ahead and bring you in so you can go ahead and send me a request. Vaughn, Irene, and Randy. I'm gonna bring each of you guys in. But tonight, guys, we're gonna be speaking with Third Culture Worship. They're doing some amazing, amazing things. They've been, they have a heart for Christ. They have a passion for kingdom, for community. And we're just going to be talking with them tonight, just learning a bit more. Let's see. Invite Vaughn, Randy, and Irene should be somewhere here. Hey, what's happening, man? How are you?
Hey, good. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Randy, what's going on? Vaughn, what's happening?
Good to see you, man.
What's up, bro? Good, man.
Good,
how are you?
Let's try to get Irene in here. Let me see.
You gotta let the pretty face in, man.
It's Irene in blue. I know we gotta let Irene in here.
Yeah, man. She's gonna make us all look better.
Let's bring her in. Let's bring her in and up this live. Let's bring her in and up this live.
There we go.
Here we go. Hey, what's going on?
Yes.
It's good, Irene.
Hey.
We're here. Where are you guys based? Cause I'm seeing all darkness outside, and I'm looking at you guys. Your background is just looking amazing right now. So let's kind of start there.
Yeah, we got the states covered, man. We're Irene and I are out here in California, San Jose,
okay.
Northern California, and Randy's over there in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, nice. You guys are on both sides. Yeah, and we're out in New York. Usually when I go out to California, I'm usually in the Palo Alto area, so I haven't been too far out there. But yeah, I usually hang out in Palo Alto a few times when I'm traveling on that side.
Yeah, that's not far away at all.
Awesome.
So come visit us when you come.
I will, most certainly. The next time I'm in that area, I will be texting you guys like, hey, I'm in the area. What are we doing?
Let's do it.
We're going to eat something good.
I know a barbecue joint.
See, there you go. I'm all about that.
That's it.
No, but before, let me adjust this here. So before we even get started, I'm gonna play a quick little game here just to loosen everyone up. I'm gonna play a quick little game. So I'm gonna give each of you a number, right? So Vaughn, your number is 1.
Okay.
Irene, yours is 2, and Randy, yours is 3. So I'm gonna ask a few questions. Yep, I'm gonna ask a few questions, and whomever you think is the best person of that description, you're gonna either up 1, 2, or 3. Sounds good? We got it?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so firstly, who's the one person that's always showing up late? Who would be the late person? Wherever you're going to dinner, you're going somewhere. We're saying 2. Okay. So we're saying Irene
2 to 3 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
It's the one who came into the chat the last.
I didn't want to give it away. All right, we'll start with that. Who's low key the pastor in the group? Who would you say have more? Who's someone with more lead towards? We're saying 1. We got some. We got a little 1 and 2. Okay, split down the middle. Okay.
Yeah.
All of us. That's a tough one.
Okay, that's a tough one. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Who's the fashion expert? Who usually coordinate the wardrobe? You guys going somewhere? You're saying, "Hey, we're doing this, we're doing that." Who's making that call? What? Okay. That's I like it. All right, we're gonna go with 2 more. We got 2 more here. So let me see. What's the next one I'm gonna go with? Who would you say is the hype person in the group? You guys are going somewhere. You're looking to feed off of energy. Who is the hype man, hype woman? Who is bringing the energy?
Yeah.
Both Randy and I are low key dudes, man. No.
But sometimes it is 1. Sometimes Vaughn is hilarious. So sometimes Vaughn is 1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and the last one here. Now, let me see. What am I gonna throw at you? Who usually? Let me see. Who's the foodie in the group? If you're going somewhere, who's gonna look for all of the best restaurants, the unique stuff, who's going to be looking for what to eat?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
See, that's why I'm going to text you when I'm in town. Because
You got it.
You're going to know what to do. So that's good. That's good.
I got them lined up.
I'm laid back, bro. Easy
I
going.
I love it.
I'm easy going.
But no, thank you guys so much, for agreeing to come in and, just chat with us. I've listened to a lot of your music. I've kind of, gone through, just been absorbing, from afar. And then once we started speaking, I'm like, you guys definitely have a great story. You've been doing a lot. You've been in, music and ministry for quite a while now, since the first time you released your first single. So if someone is now hearing about you guys, you didn't just start it recently. You released your first single, I believe, was back in 2012, right?
Well, yes and no. Like, I think it kind of spilled over from, I did a personal album, Vaughn Thompson Jr., which was actually called Third Culture Worship Volume 1. So,
so that's what that was.
Which is probably 2010. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then the Invade album came later, and the singles and stuff like that started trickling in later. Yeah. But it's been we've all been involved in ministry for a long time. Randy's a worship pastor at a church out in North Carolina, and Irene and that's how we met. We were at different churches doing we were worship leaders at the same church, but at different sites, locations. And so we had a mutual friend that connected us, and that's how so yeah, all of this. And Irene recorded before she ever met me. And so yeah, there's a lot of history here. That's a polite way of saying we're old.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom right there.
Wisdom and young at heart, absolutely. And Randy's done a lot of recordings with his church. And Randy and Vaughn went together at Lee University, and that's how they met in the choir. And yeah, so there's a lot of backdrop.
It's a lot of backstory. So there you go, Carrie. You got your first answer right there as we were jumping out of the gate.
That's an interesting question. How long have you all been singing? So that's because I know it's a different answer for all of us. So Randy, how long have you kind of grew up singing, right?
Yeah, man. I come from a musical family, so Church of God in Christ. You're singing as soon as you can say a word. They got you up there singing. So yeah, man. So I've been singing all my life, pretty much.
Yeah, and Irene, how about you?
I would say I didn't really start singing until high school, college, but I was, my dad was a pastor, a church planner, so we got up there. We didn't have a choice, and I'm grateful because I was super, super shy. And so if it wasn't for Dad pushing, and then just the opportunity and the need to just be a part of church, I'm so honored for the local church, because it really brought my faith and confidence and the opportunity to sing. And yeah.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah. And I started late. So like I grew up, I was into sports. I was super into baseball and basketball and stuff. And, going to college on scholarships, and I was like 19 years old when I sang my first couple notes, music was a very late, where Irene and I say it all the time, we're late bloomers. And that's another polite way of saying you're late. But yeah, I have only been involved in music since that. And but it was a lot of miraculous kind of God moments that kind of, move things forward. And so we're just grateful to be able to do what we love.
Well, I mean, so even touch on the name, right? Third Culture, right? So like, what exactly is the relevance? Like, what exactly is the meaning of that name? What does that mean for you guys, collectively?
No, that's a great question. Third Culture is a phrase that I heard, when I was in my 20s trying to reconcile my ethnicity. I'm a biracial kid, so my mom's Korean and my dad's German. And so I grew up with this stark contrast of culture in the house, and it caused me to be very confused. Like as a kid, you know, like it's I grew up in a very monocultural setting with you know, it was mainly Caucasian people in a small town of like 1,000 people in Maryland. And, you know, like all kids, you experience kind of like name calling and, you know, and people making fun of you, the way you look or where you're from. And it scarred me a lot, you know, and I felt it on both sides. So like if I go to church, if I go to a Korean church, I felt like the white kid. If I went to a white school, I felt like the Asian kid, you know, and I just, so fast forward to like, I'm in my 20s, I hear this person talking about third culture, and it was developed by a sociologist named Ruth Hill Usine, who observed the behavioral patterns of kids that grew up in foreign countries. So she observed military kids, missionary kids, and she watched how regardless of where they're from ethnically and where they're planted at locally, they would always take their first culture, which is their parents' birth culture, and they would naturally intertwine it and mesh it with their second culture, which is the culture that they're immersed in. So they were normally going to schools, speaking a different language at school, speaking a different language at home, eating different food at school, eating different food at home. So they had kind of this duality in their life. But she said, regardless of the combination, they would always mesh the two naturally and create a unique, different third culture.
Oh, wow.
So third culture is kind of metaphoric for the uniqueness of the combination of your life, really. And so that's helped. When I heard that, I was like, that's my life. That's what I've been feeling. That's this tension that I can't reconcile and figure out. And then the more I started to actually integrate that into my faith, you start reading through Ephesians again, and you start to see like, wow, Jesus was like the ultimate third culture kid, you know, and how he was birthed into this culture that didn't believe what he believed. It didn't value what he valued, and did not appreciate what he was. Yet he learned to adapt and become pliable. And so that's where I was like, this is our life, man. This is our faith. Like, is how it relates to us all, because we all understand what it's like to be a misfit, to be an outsider. But I think spiritually too, it's relevant to all of us, because this is not home. This is not where we are storing our treasures. We're just passing through. We have a mission here. So we want to be on a mission as well. So that's a little bit of the backdrop of that.
Amen.
Sorry about the long-winded.
No. That's great. Randy or Irene, either if you want to add anything to that individually.
Go ahead, Irene, if you got anything.
So misfit, I think that is always had like a negative connotation. Oh, I'm a misfit. I don't fit in. But a misfit, if you see like on Vaughn's hat, it says mixed fit. So we changed it, made our own word. With an X over it. You're a mixed fit, meaning that there's only one you, right? You have a cultural identity, and it's with all the influences in your life. It's greater than where you're at, your skin, or however. It's all the cultural influences that you have in your life, and it makes you a mixed fit. You're unique. Just how God has a fingerprint, there's a unique you that is a mixed fit. So kind of like a remix tape, you take everything that has been part of you and you make this remix that is just you. And so I feel like that's another way to make third culture into one word, is a mixed fit. And I feel like it's so important, especially in this time when everybody's identity is such a huge thing. And for us to be able to be like, you yourself, who you are and who God has created you, a mixed fit, none like you, no one can replicate you. You couldn't do it if you tried. No, you can't replicate. That's who you are. That's your God-given identity, and that is powerful. And you belong. The Ephesians, we belong here. Even though this isn't our home, we belong in the family of God. So third culture, it's not just one thing. It's who you are, who God has created you. It's the journey. We're in here, but not of here. We belong here, and there's a reason and a purpose for your uniqueness. So that's another spin-off of it that I absolutely love.
Wow. Amen.
Come on, Pastor Irene.
Come on.
You see, and that's always so great, right? Because whenever you're listening when someone chooses a name for a group or someone chooses a name for something, but then to know that it has such a powerful significance behind that, and it's also relevant, because when you're talking about identity, to even, you know, have something that fosters and that embraces, you know, that, because right now you're looking left and right, you know, there's a lot of confusion out there, right? There's a lot of confusion. There is a lot of, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that. So to kind of create that culture, that's a beautiful thing, you know, all by itself. And I looked at that YouTube video with the spoken word piece that Vaughn did. And, you know, in even hearing what you're saying now, but when looking at that YouTube video and listening to it, you know, like you literally felt, it was very moving, but you also, like, you felt your struggles, your confusion, but also your triumph, right? Because when you even went ahead, what was it you said? I'm his design, he's my destiny. And you kind of, you know, went into with that. So just touch a little bit, like when you were dealing with all of that, you know, individually, and then you even decided to write that and to go back and relive that, because for you to write something like that, to record it and release it out there, now you have to put yourself back into each of those moments. So what was that process like, just even putting that out there?
Well, I think it's very quickly, I think it's the result of a lot of processing and sorting myself out. You know, I think we're all, this is why, again, I think the third culture mentality, if you will, is so universal. It's not just my experience or someone of color or a Caucasian person. It's like, it's all of us are experiencing.
Yeah.
It's discovering who we are, I think. And that's why it's a universal experience. So and I think that it's a struggle for everyone to find out, what am I good at? What do I love to do? What do I want to do? What am I willing to do? So I think it becomes this universal kind of common ground that we all share. So I think after years of feeling like an outsider with the Korean community, because my Korean was very choppy and I had a horrible accent, and because when I was younger, you know, I had the bowl cut and the Asian eyes that I talk about in the spoken word video, but like, so I felt like, you know, I was called every Asian, you know, epitaph you could think of, you know, so anything you throw, like, so I felt I was unresolved, you know, and I needed to find my identity. And long story short, I went to China and had some experiences there. I went to Korea. I met my family, who my mother's side of family is all still in Korea. So I started putting these pieces together, and this is when the story kind of unfolds. And I think that's again, is a universal experience. I think it's we all have that personal kind of mandate and responsibility to find out who you are, discover who you are. And that third culture becomes the metaphor again, like figuring out who you are. Like everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a unique combination, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful, and it's not to be compared. That's why, like, it's, you know, this is like kind of symbolic, is that we want to cancel out the notion of being a misfit. Like it's negative. Misfit says you don't belong with the normal, whatever that is. But a misfit says, no, I do belong because I'm a mix and match of all this uniqueness. There's no other, I'm one of one, you know? And so that's the story we want to tell to people too, is like, give them confidence in their uniqueness, and that becomes your superpower. It's not your kryptonite.
I love it. And that's the story you guys are telling with your music. And I'll jump into the music, but, you know, I heard something today, and maybe Randy, you'll tell me if, you know, what's your take on this, but I was reading something or listening to something, and someone says, you know, when you were talking about purpose just now, but don't allow perfect to become the enemy of good. So what does that mean for you personally, Randy?
I'm having a hard time hearing you. Don't allow perfect.
Yes, don't allow perfect to become the enemy of good.
Perfect to become the enemy of good. I don't know. I've never really thought about it. I don't want to sit up here and make up an answer. I haven't thought deeply about that. if somebody was listening to a song and that was a statement they made, or?
Yeah, they were talking about like, you know, when you're seeking after your purpose, but you're trying to perfect it so much that you're just, you know, you don't want to just go with something that you may think that is just good, but you're just stuck in that phase. Like, I don't want to, you know, move forward because I want to perfect this thing so much. You as a creative, when you're writing songs, like, are you waiting to think like this song is going to be so perfect before I go to release it? Or like at which point in your creative process you're willing to just, you know, let it go and kind of say, okay, I think it's at the place where I'm going to do that. So kind of like just personalize it to you. And
no, I used to early on in my journey of songwriting. I used to always think I needed to write a hit song anytime I sat down. But at the end of the day, for me, it was in time of prayer and devotion to the Lord, it began to be more about like these recorded prayers, if you will, and just communicating how I was feeling and what the Lord was saying, and in receiving that is to me, if you want to say perfection, as long as it's from the Lord, you know what I mean? If you sit around and try to perfect everything, you might not come out with anything because you know what I mean? You're just going in circles. So you got in order to write the good songs, the really good songs, you got to write some. You just got to write. And I was gonna say write a bad song, but sometimes it is that way. But you know, if it's your song, it's your song. Whether you share it or not is another story. It's another story.
That's good. Yeah,
I love it. And even in terms of writing, like how are you guys' writing process right now? Because you're in one state, you're in another. Like when you're, you know, let's just say if we go with the new EP, you know, the Love Tip, you go with the EP, like what was that writing process like collectively between each of you when you were saying, hey, I know we want to release this, these are some of the ideas, like how did you guys go into that writing wise?
Well, I think for this particular EP that we just released, Love Trip, it's the first piece of a body of work that we created, and we got to honor our friend in this too. A shout out to our brother Aaron Lindsay, who really helped jumpstart this project with us. So it was back, you know, not to dramatize the experience, but about 5 or 6 years ago, Irene and I, you know, it was a difficult time in our life, and we were just really like, I don't know if we'll ever. I was speaking from myself, like I don't know if I'm ever going to record another album, just because it takes a lot, man. You know, like anyone who does it knows it. So. And you have to bust through a lot of walls of resistance to make that thing live. And I just didn't feel mentally, emotionally, and spiritually even I had the capacity to do it. So Aaron Lindsay sends me a text one day and says, "Hey, what's to stop you from doing a record with me?" And I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "This is like one of my musical heroes. Like this is legendary stuff." And so I was like, nothing. I was like, you know, and so it jumpstarted. Fast forward the story, we started to work with him, and in fact, Your Love was my first time writing with Aaron Lindsay. So, we wrote that in the Capitol Records building, which was, you know, in Los Angeles. So, like for me to be this little, you know, Asian hillbilly from the sticks to be, you know, going into the Capitol Records building and looking around and sitting down with a legend, you know, with, you know, awards after his name. And I was just so grateful to God, you know, that he would give me this kind of opportunity. And so Your Love is the first song on the EP, and that's from Aaron Lindsay and I, and then the second song, Aaron was big in helping produce that sound. It's actually a remake of an older song that I had, No Greater Love. And then Never Fail for this one was just a prayer that Irene and I were believing in, and we wrote out of our own kind of faith building moments together and just in doing church together. And then we do have some other songs, like fast forward, we have a lot of songs that are to be released in the next year. So we're going to heads up for all of that. But Randy and I have been writing some. We have a couple that are in the queue right now to be released. that Randy has written, and sometimes he'll say, "Hey, I got a song, I got an idea." And he'll throw me a little voice note, and I'll do the same back to him, and then we'll just throw ideas back and forth via technology, and make it happen. And then Randy has made a few trips out here to where we record and we write and just dream together.
Wow, love that, Randy. Were you going to talk about your writing process? Like, typically, how do you usually process when you're going through, like, hey, I need to write this? Are you going to just sit down, block out some time, and try to knock it out, or inspiration will just come and then you kind of just record and go like that on the fly?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. But what the Lord has been doing lately, man, it's kind of weird, and I'm a little nervous even bringing it up, but I feel like I need to share it. He's been giving me songs in my dreams. And I've been waking up with melodies, and they're like messy sounding, right? So I go and I record them really, really quick. And the last few songs I've written have been songs that I've heard me sing in a dream. So I think the songwriting process is fluid. I think if you're really into writing songs, and particularly worship songs, it's a fluid process. The Lord, and they come to you from the Lord in different ways. Certainly I'll sit down sometimes and go, hey, I want to write something. I want to write something upbeat. I want something 130 BPM. You can be very specific about it, but those ones are the more difficult ones for me to write. So I tend to lean more toward just allowing the Lord to speak to me. And in my personal and private worship times, if something comes out, then I'll hit that record button.
I like what you said there, and I'll come back to that in a second in terms of your personal and private time. Irene, you were going to say something about your writing process as well?
For me, it's a little bit more. I enjoy writing with someone else, and I feel like there's things that jump out that I can add more pieces. So songwriting from beginning to end to a song is difficult for me, but getting to a piece and focusing on that is super helpful. And a lot of it, I feel like when I'm writing or reading, words jump out. I love when words are used in certain ways. And I just have a book, I just start underlining and writing. I love the way they said this. Who knows if it has anything to do with the song, but just the way they put these words together is like captivating. So, and of course, whatever the Lord is speaking out in personal, it's like, okay, if God's doing and really speaking to me by this, I want to put it down on paper. And so I can just give what the Lord is giving me.
Amen.
Wow! You touched on a lot of different points here. So for any songwriters in the room, I know I just saw Angela Mosspool just came in. Hey, Angela! Angela is an amazing songwriter as well. And you were speaking just now, Randy, about being in the presence of the Lord, right? Because a lot of times, I'm speaking to artists and such. A lot of times, it's hey, it took me a while just to get this song, or sometimes you're waiting or they're trying to write and they keep scrapping it. Sometimes it goes an entire year. But hearing 3 or 4 different components of the writing process, I think that's very unique, and also goes to show for anyone that may be stuck, God, like in Randy's case, God can give you a song in your dream, you can be reading something, but also too, spending time in the presence of the Lord and just being before him. So you want to expand a bit more on that, Randy, and then each of you, but like how important and critical is that just to your, your ministry, your songwriting, just everything that you're doing, just getting that quality time in?
Well, I think for me, this, I don't know, we all can probably speak to this. Yeah. Working in ministry full time, at least for me over the last, I don't know, decade or so, you get to a point sometimes where you feel like when you're leading corporate worship, you're actually not worshiping. you're leading other people in the worship, and you don't really get to kind of soak and sit. For me, this is just for me. I can't say in general. And so for me, I have to spend private time in worship, or I don't feel like I lead worship effectively enough, So, and in those moments, I'm open. I'm an open book for songwriting. I think songwriting is just something you have to have an interest in. You can study it. There's things you can do to learn how to write songs. But, for me, as it pertains to my private times with the Lord, and using those times as leverage in songwriting. Those moments for me are pivotal. I don't feel like I can write a song without doing it. So did that answer your question?
I love that. What about you, Irene and Vaughn? How do you I guess incorporate that part to your day-to-day life?
Yeah, well, I too, that statement where Randy says like it's hard to worship when you're leading others in it, and I wholeheartly agree, and it might be controversial to some other worship leaders, but I wholeheartedly believe that that moment is not about you, and and I liken it to I remember being a waiter at Olive Garden when I was putting myself through seminary. Yeah.
Okay. Love Olive Garden.
Yeah, I love
too.
I love eating there. I don't love working there because that free refill of salad, breadsticks, pasta, and everything else is like a sit down buffet, so like you're up, it's constant anyway. But I remember going through I remember going through training, and they said, make sure that you make their experience about them. This is their night out, not yours. Like if you're hungry, you eat before you get here, right? And I remember like that just kind of stuck into me. And I remember hearing a devotional on Mary and Martha, and when they sat at Jesus' feet, and Mary sits at his feet, and Martha's in the kitchen doing everything, and Martha says to Jesus, like, what? Won't you get her to help me? Or I'm over here doing everything.
Yeah.
And to make this a little bit shorter is that Martha, Jesus didn't correct what she was doing. He just correct her attitude in what she was doing. Because like, if you look back at that setting, like Martha is the one who made it happen. Like in the passage, it says Martha went out to get Jesus. And that was Martha's house, and it says Martha, and you're entertaining not just Jesus but a bunch of other folks. So she was entertaining. She made the table possible, but Mary got to sit at the feet of Jesus. So bring that into the relevance of like leading worship and worshiping is that I feel like we're servants, worship leaders who do it on the week or whatever. It's like that's not just because it's a stage with lights and everything doesn't mean you're the star. I think the mentality is actually the worst seat in the house. Why? Because it has the most responsibility. It required the most amount of time and effort and work to make that happen. So as ministers, and you see this even in the Old Testament, anytime they had this moment in the temple, it says the priests had already consecrated themselves. So as pastors, as worship leaders, servants, people who are serving the people on a platform, you need to eat before you get there. You don't try to eat while you're there. So that in that way, it actually becomes leadership as Jesus defined it, which is not how many are following you, but how many are you willing to get on your knees and serve and put on the towel in the basin, right? So it's like worship leading is a selfless act of sacrifice. To be like, I'll take the worst seat in the house so you can have the best seat in the house. You get to sit at the feet of Jesus. You don't have to think. You don't have to prep. You don't have to show up to rehearsals. You don't have to run lines and fold cables. Right. You get to sit at the feet of Jesus. I'll lay myself down. I can eat later. And I think so. Now, having said that, it puts the precedence on it so much more that you find that place at the feet of Jesus somewhere. Like whether it's in by yourself or whether you're attending another worship service where someone else is doing all the work that needs to be done, so it's like it's not an either or, it's a both and. You have to find that place, like Randy was saying, on your own, so that you can be filled up. I heard another analogy of a worship leader saying you don't want to be a dry sponge. A dry sponge when you pour water on a dry sponge, it soaks everything up for itself.
Yeah.
It's like if you fill yourself up before you get there, you pour water on it, it overflows. Right.
Wow.
So that's, you know, that's just a little something for, you know, leaders and people that serve their churches, you know, to kind of handle that duality, you know.
That's good. Yeah. That's really good. You basically just broke down worship. That's like a masterclass worship one situation there. But that was good. That was really, really good because you know, I serve in my church. I'm in the media team. My wife's a worship leader. And I know what you're saying because like on the weekends, like if she was here right now, as soon as I get off of this, you would have heard it turned on. She plugged up her mic and she would have been worshiping all weekend long, just getting ready for the Sunday, you know, for sure. So definitely it is a whole lot that goes into that, but it's really good from the approach that you kind of, you know, you always have to come filling, and that's great, you know, that the Olive Garden, you know, it taught you something. So there you go. So
it sure did.
I also love Vaughn, like when he would make the example, he'd be like, if you're waiting and you're waiting the table and you're like, oh, what are you having? That looks good. And you sit down with them and take a couple bites while you're waiting. Of course, that sounds absurd, but I feel like that is such a great picture of the conversation of what we're saying, that we're not going to jump in the booth with the people we're serving and eat their meal.
Right.
That's good. No, that makes perfect sense. Now, so, you know, I know we were just touching a little bit on the EP. You know, the EP's been released. You released the EP about 2 or so months in the beginning of summer. What are some of the feedbacks have you been getting from, you know, from just listening to it, or others picking it up and worshiping with it within their local churches? Like, what are some of the feedbacks you guys have been hearing? How has it even ministered to you personally? Because it's always one of those things sometimes that, you know, every song that you're going to release is going to minister to someone else differently, but also it can minister to you as well in your moment. So how has that been?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about that. So I'll let Randy, if you have some things for your vantage point, I want to take all the time. I'll come back.
Yeah, you know, with the Mixed Fits being like more West Coast based, over here on the East Coast, man, a lot of the people that have gotten the EP, the reviews have been tremendous, man. A lot of people are loving the songs, really digging them, and you're hearing words like it sounds unique. It doesn't sound like all the other stuff that's out there, and nothing wrong with the other stuff.
Of course,
out there.
I got you.
It sounds really cool, and so the feedback I've been getting over here on the East Coast has been great. And you know, when I listen to the record, and obviously we're a part of the production process of the songs and writing the songs, obviously. So we've heard the songs so long. By the time they come out, they're not new songs to us. Yeah. I just love how they can translate into different environments. You know, like the way that the songs are produced on the EP. You know, we have acoustic vibes of the songs too, or versions of the songs too, or just the songs being stripped on just doing piano and maybe something small and percussion. The songs just translate well in different setups, and that's what I love about them.
That's nice.
That's great.
Nice.
Irene, do you have any?
Yeah, I feel one of them, it just makes me want to dance in the living room. And my son and I, and we pull in Vaughn too, we'll just jump and sing and dance in the living room with it. And it's like real joy that comes out from that. And I'm super grateful for that. I think also for Never Fail. If you see in the video, there's a music video that goes with it, and there's pictures of some of our family. So in November, I lost my grandmother and my aunt to cancer, and then my cousin died as well a couple months later, and so my God will never fail. You see in there, just like when you meet death, it's like everything you believe for, it matters right then and there. Either it's all true or it's not. And so for say that God never fails, it doesn't mean that it's everything turns out the way you wanted or would hope for, or that it's even easy, but that he is present and he can be trusted and counted on no matter what. And so for that song, it became very personal. And I wanted to share that story because I have sat and watched my loved ones take their last breath right in front of me. I've seen them struggle to just get up and get out of bed and all those things and everybody has their own thing. But God has been so faithful in ways that I couldn't articulate beforehand. And sometimes we can't even articulate through it. And even after it's been a year now, looking back, it's like, gosh, I have no clue the magnitude of the faithfulness of God and what he has done and the things that I'm not even aware of yet and how he has sustained me. But the truth remains, he never fails. And he will be there, and his story's not over. And if we're still here, there's more to be done. There's more that God has. And so that song has ministered to me in different seasons, but in this season, that particular way. So it's a great variety that just kind of says, this is what I believe. God is love, and his love will never fail.
Yeah.
Man. Wow.
That's powerful. I too, I love the diversity of the project. I feel like the 3 songs sound like they're completely different from each other. I love that, but they also share the same theme, which I love that. I feel like it's a great representation of who we are. I mean, look at all 3 of us. You got an Asian, a Mexican, and an African American going down, and it's like, and I think it embodies the third culture mentality. I do think it's fun. I think some of the like more just kind of practical feedbacks, like a friend of mine was like, "Thank you for releasing energy." Like, like in with you know, like with worship. So I mean, we all love the worship, the ballad stuff, because it really are, you know, the high moments. But like, I feel like that's a lot of what we hear, and a lot of what gets really a lot of the focus and the usage for obvious reasons, and it's great. But some people want to just have fun too with that those types of songs, and I was proud of the fact that I think it was a success because it sounds like what we wanted it to sound like, you know. And it's the success, the barometer of success is not how people receive it, but on our end, did it hit the mark that we wanted to hit? And we were happy with that. And then I think too, it's like, this is just kind of an encouragement to those out there that are creating on themselves. Like they're in the lab putting an album together, or they've already done it, and you're waiting for that feedback. And it can be deafening how silent it is, or it's not the type of response that you want. I mean, I'll just share some of our perceived maybe misses or failures, is that we tried to find radio for Never Fail or Your Love, and we got turned down by everybody. Like, and it was kind of, it hurt, I think, as a creator, it hurts a little bit at first, but then like talking with Irene and Randy about it, it was almost like, well, you know what, this is who we are. Like, we're misfits. Like, we're there. You know, when you look at the radio world right now, it's not like it was 60 years ago, where things broke on radio. Now, radio is like a lagging indicator. Radio's got to catch up to social media and what's going viral in other spaces,
and bringing it
and what's going on in churches, and then they just they affirm that this is moving, and then they make space for it. So. It's like we don't have a home on gospel radio. We don't have a home in contemporary Christian music because we don't quite fit those molds. And so I think Irene actually said it verbatim to me. He's like, well, why should you be offended that you don't want to sound like everything else is out anyway? So that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And that's a way to take the, I guess, the feedback or the constructive criticism, or even the feedback that you don't want to hear, and still let it be used for good. And I think that's what we're trying to do. Is like, it's really hard for music, man. It's really hard right now, just because social media is an ever-changing landscape with the algorithms and what actually can help break through algorithms. And it's not a social media content place anymore. It's an ad-based content. So it's so hard to get. It's never been easier to make something. It's never been harder to be heard. So we're in this space where there's so much noise. Everybody's got a project, and it's great, and everybody's stuff is, the quality of everything is coming up. Everybody's sounding good. Everybody's writing good songs. So it's really hard it's easy to get lost in the noise. But then I think all that to say is that we're just resting in this place of like, this is who we are, and we're okay if we don't line up into this box or this box, as long as we're true and honest with ourselves and who God has kind of created us to be. I'm good with it.
Yeah. Called us to be too. Yeah, absolutely. I also think too, just with, you know, the Misfits and the Love Trip and it introducing to new people and new plants too, is we've had so many people be like, third culture, Misfit, does it count that I'm handicapped? Am I a Misfit? I was like, absolutely. That, yes, you have those feelings and all the things that you go through make you feel isolated. Is it, I have this experience that is totally different than the ones we normally talk about. And like, yes, you are a mixed fit. And then as it turns into that, you are his fit. And so I feel like there's so much purpose of people. Like that. Yeah, he all of us are his fit, right? And then there's been people, of course, it just being like, my God will never fail. I have a huge family, so there's always something going on. But my niece got in a car accident and like 200 stitches on her face, and never fail has been in that hospital, asked by the doctors, can we play this? I want to play this. This I want to believe this, and it's been playing. And so there's just so much that's why the reason I'm saying this is for everybody who's doing something, God has a purpose and a plan for it. And some of it will be in the places that nobody may see or hear, but it's touching eternity. And you are doing your well done, good and faithful servant to help somebody else. Put your hand back, find somebody and say, come on, you can make it. We're in this together. We're here for you. We see you. And let's believe for all that God has together. You're not alone. You're a mixed fit. I'm a mixed fit, but all of us are his fit.
Amen. Man, that's that. I felt that. I love that all of us are his fit. They kind of just pulled it all together. It's all this leading up to it, but then it also solidifies it and still brings it under the umbrella of Christ, because all of us is his fit. And then even kind of segueing slightly, we still have a few more minutes, but segueing slightly, we're talking about fit. You guys have a clothing line, right? Because I did check out some of the fit, because you see what I'm doing there. So I did check it out. Now I must say, which one I was looking at today? I was looking at the I think it's the short sleeve camel hoodie. That's really sick.
Tell us your size. I'm gonna send you one.
So it's really dope. So that's really nice. So talk to us about the birth of the clothing line. So like, it's one thing, from the music and the representation, but now for someone to be able to, to wear something that speaks outwards, because a lot of times you go places, you see someone, I'm always looking to see what's written. I don't care if I'm not looking to see if it's expensive or not, but I'm looking to see what's written, because if someone puts on something with the writing, it makes a statement. So I'm always a fan of that. So what kind of led down to that path?
Well, I was, we were, as almost all music folks do, they create some type of merch at some point, right? So kind of, so we had done that in the past, but I kind of turned a corner to where, like, I enjoy fashion. I enjoy things that are hot, sneakers, all that kind of stuff. And, like, clothing really is language, it's culture, like there's a lot of culture in that. And so, like, well, I was like, so let's lean into this and make it cool, like, and let it say what we want to say. And we were getting great feedback on things. And then, so I just kind of sat down and I was like, I just came up with, like, I was trying to come up with a mission statement in terms of branding and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I want to what do you want this to do? What kind of impact do you want your clothing to have? And I was like, well, I want to communicate belonging. All my life, I felt like I was communicated that you're not Korean, you're not white, you're not this, you're not that. I want to communicate, no, you belong, right? And so, like, I want to clothe people with the idea that they belong. That's what I want to give, a sense of belonging. And even like, the bigger, longer dream of this is that it would be its own extension into the world, even apart from the music. Like right now, of course, it's coinciding with us. It's partnering with us. But like, as I get older, like I I would love to just kind of see this become its own thing, to where it has a place. And it's, again, like Irene said earlier, is that, man, we have an identity epidemic in the world. That's the
100%.
biggest.
I agree.
I mean, people don't know who they are, and more importantly, they don't know whose they are. And we want to communicate to them that they belong. And we believe that even though it is faith-based, it's not in your face, right? It's not Jesus saves you, loves you, which he does. And I have no problem with anybody who does that. I want to start the conversation with the idea of belonging and culture and identity, because we know that path leads to one place, the creator of all of it. So that's kind of our vision.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love that. I think the music, yes, if the clothing too, what I love is Vaughn is very detailed. And so for even the mixed fit, there's a black thing is that sometimes they're not even sewn correctly. There's a little bit longer on the end. There's a reason why this is here. There's a scripture on the inside that'll explain where it came from. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Thanks be to God. This is a song that from the death of Vaughn's nephew. And so the clothing has a whole story behind it. It has a song, but most importantly is that, this matters. Christ, who he created in us, and every single person, the identity of Christ in everybody is a big deal, and it's detailed, and it's complicated, and it's beautiful. And so we want the clothes to resemble that there's been a lot of thought put into this, just as there's a lot of thought that has been put into you.
Man, I'm seeing who the preacher is here, man.
Dropping it.
Nuggets. Dropping nuggets, man. Dimes.
That's so good. That's so good. I love that. Before I have you guys touch on a little bit of, you mentioned there is some writing and there's different things that's already in the works. Are you looking at a particular Q1 of next year? You giving us a little teaser, like when are you thinking, are you going to be seeing some of that? I mean, everyone right now is loving what's happening right now with the Love Trip, but some of the other stuff that you guys are looking into, when are you thinking in terms of that?
Yeah, very shortly. In fact, we're going to release the Love Trip side B. So, like, I don't know if you've seen the mixtape, the old cassette tape. So we're going to release the side B of it, which is going to be the acoustic versions of those songs. So how they fit in different spaces, like without full bands and lights and production. So this is how the songs evolve and live in those spaces. And then we're going to release. We have a version of "Mary Did You Know" coming out for Christmas, so you can look for that. And then we have a new trip coming out in the. We're planning for the first quarter of next year. So so we have a backlog of 20 plus songs that are we're praying for strategy and just timing, and it's all the work has been done, but we're excited to share and to contribute to the cool stuff that's going on. I mean, in the body of Christ, man, there's this is a really cool day and age. It's exciting. There's so many creative folks. There's so many talented folks. I mean, and then just to seeing the younger kids coming up and what they're creating, it's an exciting time to be alive. And
But let's definitely connect for sure. Offline when you guys are doing all that. I saw IG just popped up and give me the 1 minute warning.
Okay.
Typically, it's just so crazy when they do this. But go ahead and drop your socials so I can make sure that's all a part of this. Drop your socials. How can people connect with you guys? And let's definitely talk offline for sure.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having us, man. We're so grateful to be a part of what you're doing. I mean, I think it's just so cool of what you do, of creating a platform to help other folks, man. I think it's amazing. So thank you so much for having us to be a part of it. So thank you. We're so grateful.
Socials, Third Culture Worship, and you can on Instagram, Facebook, on
Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, Facebook, YouTube, as all the videos are going. And we also have @Third Culture Worship on TikTok, so go over there and see us doing some ridiculousness over there.
Love it. And I'll add all this to it. Again, thank you guys so much for joining in with us. I'm Sherwin, and this is The Buzz. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.